excellent for neck pain and shoulder pain. We'll get that into the individual points. The Chinese felt so confident in that they actually called one of the points on this channel, small intestine 11, the ruler of the shoulder. Absolutely indispensable for shoulder pain.
Beautiful.
Highlighting that correspondence between small intestine and heart, there's another thing I was taught in shoulder pain. If you treat shoulder pain with everything and it doesn't go away, you got to go to subscapularis. And subscapularis is a muscle from the anterior section of the scapular blade, goes into the shoulder the rotator cuff and connects in to teres infraspinatus and forms a wrap that holds the glenohumeral junction together.
Interesting.
So this is the beginning of starting to think of muscles as paths rather than individual organ insertion. If you think of the muscle fibers going from tendon, muscle, tendon, bone, ligament, bone, tendon, muscle, now you get a ribbon of fascia going through different tissues. So heart and small intestine form a girdle to hold the shoulder in from subscap to infraspinatus as one continuous rubber band of tissue. So it's a beautiful visualization, and it helps dilate the understanding of the human body and how meridian style works, you know. So small intestine 11 and heart 1 for shoulder pain, especially if somebody's dealing with a breakup, has been dumped, has been not included, then those are the psychological things that'll contract this. And in my professional experience, I initially assumed that being dumped was the one that would do it, but I found dumping a person requires more small intestine tightness than it does being dumped. To dump a person, one really has to know you're not getting in, you're out. And that takes a stronger contraction, I find, in people's symptomology in that mind-body connection thing, just as a side note.
So if someone was often excluded from groups, like in the Mean Girls, and if you're familiar with this movie called Mean Girls, where they kick out the one, and that would trigger small intestine, I'm not included.
If what the else? Mean Girls are already liver gallbladder, they may have just gone into liver gallbladder and been angry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But
there probably is a small intestine component, most likely, under the anger. And that's where the Bhakti-Atsu practice or process of clearing the energies on the way in. You'll know when you drop in. Hopefully you should know by wrinkle patterns, sound of voice, color, smell of their body, the stories that they talk about. Most of that will indicate, are they small intestine or are they liver? Small intestine, they're going to be laughy. Their cheeks are going to be up. They're going to be talking about you. They're going to joke and josh and cheer. Their cheeks are going to be puffy. Their pinky's going to keep coming up. You know, they're going to have the crow's feet on the side of the eye. You know, so that's a small intestine person. And they come in and they're shouty and they're angry and they're pursed and they got the wrinkle lines here and they're sloped forward a bit and they're shouty. Then you know it's a liver person. This goes into diagnostics.
This energy.
Right now we're just talking small intestine.
I know, it's so infectious though.
They're strong energies, huh?
Yeah, well, particularly
to be an effective practitioner requires emotional calisthenics, the ability to go in and out of any of the emotional bodies at the drop of a hat. Because if you go into small intestine with the right touch, you're in. You and me are the same. I have waited to see you for such a long time. You know, I'm so grateful that you're here. You know, how you see how that you can open the small intestine that way. And then the small intestine I love is the fascial plane because of that levator, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres. If you know that, you can just grab the shoulder girdle and just lean into that body of flesh along the orientation that excites that line, and you can get the small intestine to open with just the nicest little stuff, you know? It's just like, oh man, the ding, ding, ding. You know, it twitches and the emotion comes up and I feel tingling down my hand and all that stuff, you know, that's all secondary. And you lean and won't open, we're acupuncturists, we can use needles. But on this channel, I recommend when you do the needles, you got to do it in such a way that's not too shocking, which is hard as an acupuncturist because I get a when it responds. It's gratifying. This channel is gonna get a response. It's the nature of the smaller God. It's the nature of the smaller